We are live. Good morning. It's funny, a lot of people are doing lives on Sundays now. Good morning. Bonjour. Patty does her live, and now I see Aisha's live. So Sunday is a popular day. Good morning. How are you guys doing? Good morning. Bonjour. As I said, I see that we have several people doing lives at this time. So thank you for tuning in. Whoever is here, say good morning. Hola. Good morning. Goddess, hola, buenos dias. Say good morning, you guys. Oh. How are you guys doing? I'm doing well today. Woke up in my right mind. God is good, right? Yep. Regardless of what's going on in the world, we choose to be grateful. Good morning. Ooh, these beans are taking a little longer today. How's it going, guys? Good morning. Say good morning so I know who you are and that you're here. Buenas. You know, it's funny. I do like some really short classes for the WhatsApp group. And I was telling them the first class I did, you know, how you do greetings. You say, hola, good morning, buenas, buenos dias. And there are all kinds of little nuances as to how you say hello to people, different parts of the world, right? Here in Panama is buenos dias early in the morning till about noon, right? And in the afternoon, buenas tardes, buenas noches. And then from 12 o'clock and on, you could say buenas. Buenas. I didn't know that until I got here. You say buenas. Okay. Good morning. Atlanta, Kimberly, buenos dias. Good morning. Yeah. And then, you know, we did greetings about, you know, au revoir, which is French. How you say bye. You can say ciao, bye. Hasta luego, hasta la vista, it's like you're trying to be cheeky, right? But you say hasta luego, hasta mañana, nos vemos, there are all kinds of ways to say the same thing. Hola, Sasha, ¿cómo está? In a couple of hours, bienvenida, mi amiga, bienvenida a Panama, that's wonderful. Wow, it's a good day to travel, the weather is good, everything is clear here. Even though last time I flew, I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not going to tell you that. All right, so what are we doing today? I decided I was going to do granola today. I think I mentioned that last time. Good morning, SWRA. Good morning, Kimberly. South Africa. Oh. I miss South Africa. Where in South Africa are you? I love these people. God bless. Wonderful. Meow. All right, don't start acting up. It's too early in the morning. Yeah, I was going to do granola and then I changed my mind because I have those chicken wings and I wanted to do something with them. So today we're going to do some Caribbean dishes. We're going to do rice and peas. We're going to do steamed cabbage. And then in terms of the meat, the protein, we're going to use those chicken wings. Okay, so I need to put them in the oven. I cleaned them last night. Usually when you're doing chicken, you want to ideally season and marinate overnight for best flavor. So it's you separate the chicken wing, the drumettes, from, oh, I forgot that one. I don't know what you call these little things. You separate them. Now the little wingets, the little thing tips here, you can turn them off, but I like to chew on them, so I kept mine. And then you clean it with vinegar, white vinegar, and a little bit of lime. You know, you rub them, clean them up. I'm Caribbean, so what we do when we finish cleaning the chicken, we boil some water and we kind of shock it with some hot water, right? So that it makes us feel like it's really clean. I'm telling you. Also, to clean your chicken, any types of chicken, we usually like to use sour orange as something to clean them with. Here, they have lots of sour orange. You know, I don't buy them because I'm not really that excited about them, but they call them lime, limon. So if you go buy fish, you're gonna see a slice of not yellow lemons like you used to, but like what they call limon here is really sour orange, and that's what you're gonna get on a side, like a slice, little slice, to squeeze over your fish, which is perfectly fine. And then you start the seasoning. I put a little bit of oil, fresh garlic, a ground pepper. I do use a little bit of, I'm not a soy sauce person because it makes me swell. That's why I don't eat a lot of Chinese food. But I like the dark soy, and I put a little bit of it. I'm talking about like half a teaspoon. And then I like Worcestershire sauce, and I was able to find some here. Put a little bit, like maybe a teaspoon of that. And then, of course, everything I have in here. Adobo, paprika. I did bring some Old Bay, so I put a little bit of that. Slap your mama. And then I did chop a little bit of hot peppers. You know, I like a little bit of heat. So I was able to find these here. And when you find these, they call them ahi chumbo. So whenever you see ahi chumbo, it means that they are a little bit hot. Not to the level of a Scotch bonnet, which is good because Scotch bonnet to me is a little bit too hot. So I chopped a little bit of that, put it in there, and then I chopped some fresh rosemary, a little bit of that. I chopped some thyme, fresh thyme, and you know, it just gives it, and then you mix it all together, and then it's just perfect. Of course, you're tasting, make sure you have enough salt. If you don't have enough salt, from the little bit of the dark soy, and also the, remember the adobo has some salt, so you always have to be careful how much salt you're gonna put in your food, because as I say, you need some salt, but you don't need a whole lot, right? So this has been marinating all night, and I have the oven on. I bake my wings. I don't fry. Like I said, I don't fry anything anymore in my kitchen. So I'm gonna use these two pans. I have foil, and I wanna give them room to, okay. Somebody said she liked when I was talking to this thing. You're not following me already? It's too soon. Okay. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay. I tell you, this gimbal is temperamental. South Korea. Oh, wow. No, it's not jerk chicken. It's going to be, I'm making an orange glaze for my chicken wings. Okay, we can do jerk chicken another day because I make my own jerk seasoning. If you want me to do jerk chicken, I can. Do you guys want me to make jerk chicken one day? You know, I'm trying not to get too much. Oh, there we go. Not to do too much chicken, because when I was in Florida, I ate 3 chicken wings and felt okay. But remember, I am whole food plant-based, so I don't do too well with too much meat. But I have a friend here, and I can give it away, so it's not a big deal. So we want to make sure we leave room in between the chicken wings. so that they can cook fast. That's gonna be about 20-30 minutes, which is fine. So you could see all the herbs and the chicken wings. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do an orange glaze, and then once the chicken is cooked, we're gonna let them rest for like a few minutes so they don't stick to the foil, and then we'll make the glaze together and toss them in that glaze. Let me tell you, it's good. All right, so I'm gonna put that in there. Yep, that's what we're gonna do. And then I'm gonna small cabbage, and we're gonna have some steamed cabbage. We're gonna put some carrots, and I have some leftover broccoli. We're gonna put that in there. Usually when I cook for myself, that's how I cook. I cook based on what I have in the kitchen, okay? Unless I'm planning, a party or something, and I go and I buy specific things. But when I go to the store, and I will do that for you guys one day, usually what would I get? Sometimes I'll get some tomato sauce, tomato paste. I'm thinking of where you start when you open the door. If I need paper goods, I used to order from Price Smart for them to deliver. I might still do that because when I need bleach and like big gallons of like Lysol and stuff, I don't want to have to carry that stuff myself, so I'd rather they deliver it. So I would go tomato sauce, the aisle. The next aisle is beans. I would get garbanzos to make chickpeas. And what else? Sometimes I'll get evaporated milk because I like to put that in my coffee when I have coffee. If I need spices, and then I'll usually go, okay, this week was my week to confess. I had a chocolate croissant, I got it, and I got a regular croissant, and then there was another little pastry. So I came home, it was about 12 o'clock, and I had some coffee with that. Yeah, like I said, I'm not perfect. I allow myself once a month. But it's been maybe 3 months since I had croissant. I deserved it. It was good. All right, so the chicken, let's let the chicken cook. And then now we're gonna work on the rice. Jerk chicken, okay, I'll make jerk chicken for you one day. And then I'm gonna show you the recipe. You don't have to buy jerk seasoning in the jar. You can make your own, it's amazing. Okay, I will. South Korea, I love Korean dramas. I was watching your actors, your handsome cutesies. I watch Korean dramas, I watch Chinese dramas, and I used to watch a lot of Turkish dramas, but I kind of stopped watching them. There was a lot of, even in the Asian dramas, there's a lot of times women, the way they treat women on those dramas get me a little bit upset. So sometimes I have to take a break. And all the drinking from all these young people, drinking until they pass out, and I can't understand that. All right, so here I have some beans cooking, okay? I debated whether I was gonna use pigeon peas or do some kind of dry beans. Now, the dry beans that I used, of course I soaked them overnight so they plump up, okay? Now look at the beans that I used. These, and then after I soak them overnight, this is what they look like. They get nice and plump, which is what you want, even with the garbanzo beans. Now we have lots of beans here in Panama, but this one says poroto chileno. I don't know if that means it's come from Chile, but I know we have beans here called chiricano, and I need to get, I'm getting ready to start a series that you guys are gonna love. It's not gonna be just for the lives on Sundays, but for my weekly videos. So this has been boiling now for, I'd say about an hour. It's still a little bit hard. It's almost there. We don't want it to be overcooked, okay? You want it to have a little bite, but just almost, okay? So we're gonna do that. But in the meantime, okay, we're gonna make the sofrito for the rice. Okay. You know, a sofrito is a mixture of like peppers, onions, garlic, and some tomato sauce. But it's not quite a sofrito. We make what we call a piece, where we have onions, usually green onions, but I don't have green onions, and fresh thyme, and some cilantro, or you could use parsley, and then you put a little bit of oil in it, and then you mix it. Now, when I make a piece, I usually put it in a jar, and it can last for a couple of weeks or so. But because I don't cook a lot, you can make it for the dish that you're cooking, okay? So that's what I have here. No hot pepper in this one, okay? I'm gonna add the hot pepper later. And then you take a handheld mixer and then you just mix it. So it's not really a sofrito because it doesn't have tomato sauce in it, but that's my individual spice. So remember, it's onion. If you have green onions, even better. Thyme and, garlic, lots of garlic, right? Don't forget the garlic, lots of fresh garlic. Cilantro, if you have culantro, you can use that too, or you can use parsley, okay? I'm not hung up on that. So we're gonna use that as a base to cook our rice. And you know, once you do that, your rice is gonna be banging because you've got the base. You've got the base for, yes, lots of garlic, lots of garlic. Yes, yes, yes. I just said that. You see, I have multiple cloves of garlic in here. Thyme, fresh thyme, cilantro. I don't have a lot of cilantro, so I use the one that are looking a little bit yellow, so I can use it in here because it's gonna disappear in there. And then some oil, okay? So once you do that, then your dish is gonna bang. I like the little handheld. Oh, you could put it in a blender if you want. I don't find really good green onions here in Panama. They're like in a big bunch, but they're really, really thin. Nothing like I'm used to. So that is going to be your base that you're going to cook your beans in. But I can use pigeon peas. I love pigeon peas. All right, let's see this little girl follow me. Nope, it didn't do it today. Okay. Somebody said she liked the way I talk to it when it doesn't follow me. Oh, it's following me. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, pigeon peas, I like them in the can, even though you know I don't like canned stuff. but I like the way the rice comes out. And I debated whether I was gonna use some. I think I have a can. So it would be like what they call here guandu. But I noticed that they were really small and I don't like the small ones, so I didn't want to chance it, right? Now, rice and peas, you could use these kind of peas. You could use, what do they call the little pink one? I have cannellini beans, which you could use, or you could use the regular red kidney beans, okay? But I don't know if you remember, I told you, when I eat it, it's a little bit irritating to my tummy, so I don't usually use it. I use a little bit of it when I'm making chili, which I used when I made chili last time. Yeah. Oh, I see my aki. Well, I already made it for you guys, but I need to cook some aki. All right. So, chicken's in the oven. We can start on the rice because the cabbage is not gonna take long. Okay, I think the beans are good. And in the beans, I just had some celery leaves. I just threw it in there. Again, to boost the flavor. I'm making some Caribbean dishes today, rice and peas. We're doing an orange glazed chicken wings and some steamed cabbage. Nice kitchen. Oh, thank you. Well, you know, when I was looking for an apartment, that was the #1 thing. I have to have counter space and it has to be a decent kitchen. Of course, it's not, I didn't expect it to be perfect, but yeah, I like this kitchen. Did I give you guys a tour of it? You know, it's kind of, the whole apartment is like an L shape, kind of long. And then my sink, you see when I'm cooking at my sink, this is my view. I'm looking out to the water. So, yes, I like my kitchen. Thank you. All right. All righty. So, we're going to all right, for those of you who are really worried about me using aluminum, you know, don't use aluminum. Don't use the coated dishes. Don't use that. I just don't get hung up on stuff like that. I'm 66 years old and I'm still here, so it's okay. So relax, okay? Relax. I do have some wooden spoon for those of you who are really into that, but I do have my aluminum spoon as well, so please relax. And if Maggie drops dead tomorrow, it's okay, it's my time. I'm not worried about it, okay? Now, plastic, people get really hung up on that. And we did have a coach telling us about, you know, they don't use plastic at all. You know, I read the reviews too and the research about plastic. They say if you're driving in your car, you don't want that water bottle to sit there and get to this really high temperature. That's when the microplastics leach into your water, whatever. So I don't do that. But I do have plastic around here. I have plastic containers. I put things in. For me to go and eliminate all plastic, probably not gonna happen. So, like I said, relax. Okay? But I wanted to tell you, oh, also talking about the rice, I was looking for jasmine rice. It is super, super expensive here in Panama. So I went, and I don't like to buy a lot of rice just because I don't want it around here. I have had so much carbs lately, you guys. I feel so guilty. But you know, and I was gonna tell you a little bit about my week, the anxiety and the stress that was catching up to me. When I'm anxious, I eat things I'm not supposed to eat, like you do, I'm sure. So for me, it was like I had rice and I had lo mein. I mean, it was yummy. You know, these little things here in Panama, you can buy this for like 89 cents. So they cook in like 2 minutes, and you just squeeze a little marinara, and then I'm good to go. So I had a lot of that this week, but my face is not too swollen, so I'm very grateful for that. Okay, why is this thing showing here? Okay, I don't know what that is. Okay, so with the rice, so I was able to find this one. We do make a lot of rice here in Panama, and it said 100% Panamanian. That means it's Panamanian, and it's gluten-free, of course, and it says it's a little bit long. You can see the grains are a bit long. So it, the price was a little bit, okay, so I got that. And when I was in school, the chefs told us, you don't need to wash your rice. But boy, oh boy, if you're Caribbean, you don't wash your rice, you're committing the cardinal sin. So I washed the rice, okay? This lady said to me, she's like, well, I wash my rice because then it's grainy, it doesn't stick. Of course, rice has gluten. This one is gluten-free. But when you have a regular rice, the coating is what makes it stick, right? So they think if they wash it a couple of times, all of it's gonna be gone. I don't know about that. I'm a skeptic. But when we make sushi, we wash until it's clear to make sticky rice, okay? So, I'm trying to figure it out. Some arguments I don't get on. I don't get into it. All right, so about 2 tablespoons of oil. And this is where we're gonna put our mix, okay? We're gonna put that in here. Oh, you hear that? It's gonna season. It's gonna be yummy. And I do have coconut milk this time. If you're cooking Caribbean rice, you have to have coconut milk. That's just what you do, okay? So this is onion, garlic, but there's no pepper in here, all right? So we're gonna let it cook a little bit. Oh yeah. So I'm gonna make the jerk chicken for you guys one time. You could do jerk chicken, you could do jerk shrimp, you could do jerk fish. It's just a spice mixture. You could put it with anything you want. Goat, I'm not doing goat. I can't have goat, I'm sorry. I am mostly whole food plant-based, right? So I try to cheat a little bit. I started adding fish, and I'm okay with fish, no problem. And like I told you, when I was in Orlando, I had 3 chicken wings, and I was like, oh, my tummy feels good. Okay, so we're gonna try again today. But last week, I wanted to cook my chayote, my aubergine, my eggplant, and I needed some bones. So I went and got some bones, but the bones had a little bit of meat in it. My tummy said nope. So I'm gonna stick to the whole food plant-based because it's not worth it to my tummy. No. All right, so we're gonna take the celery leaves out, and we're gonna add our beans in here. Now, we don't cook our rice like I see some other island people cook. We don't cook our rice like that. We don't boil the peas and then throw the spices and then throw the coconut milk and the rice all at once. We don't do it like that. Haitians don't cook their rice like that. So we got to toast everything. I mean, I'm sure everything tastes good. It's just that everybody's a little bit different, and you have to allow for some differences, right? One of these days, I'm gonna have a camera up there so you guys can look in on. But I always like to show you what it looks like. And the beans are nice and plump. Ooh, I like that. I like that. So did I tell you that this lady heard me say I couldn't find the pastry cutter? She brought it from California and gifted me this. Oh, I'm so happy. So we're gonna have to make some biscuits and break it in. But you know I'm not gonna be eating any biscuits. That's just too heavy for me. Oh. All right, so while it's cooking here and toasting, we're gonna season. That's when we season, okay? So pepper. Now remember, I already have a really nice base. I have onion, I have garlic, I have thyme, I have cilantro. So we're good. But now we're gonna do our adobo. No cumin. Cumin with meat. I don't put. Oh, one thing I forgot to tell you, when I marinated the chicken, I added fresh garlic. Fresh garlic with your poultry, game changer. Fresh garlic, chop it up and just mix it all. Little Old Bay, some paprika. You know I love paprika. What else do we have left? Oh, slap your mama. Those 4. Guaranteed to give your food. Mwah. All right. Woo. Yum, yum, yum. All right. At this point, I like to throw in my whole habanero or Scotch bonnet pepper. Some people stick little cloves in there. I don't like cloves. I'm scared of cloves because they're so strong. I just put it in my hair oil. But I'm gonna throw this whole ají chumbo. That's what they call it here in Panama. A lot of things are called differently here in Panama. And even though I put some fresh thyme and cilantro here, I'm still gonna put a bouquet garni in that water, okay? Yes, yummy is right, goddess. We don't want to, our food needs to really pop, right? So now it's time for the coconut milk. Now, yes, you could go get your own coconut and grate it and stuff. I'm too lazy for that. All right. So for this, I'd say about half to 2/3 of a cup. You don't need to put too much, right? Everything should be balanced. And then you're gonna scrape the bottom because that's goodness. The bottom of this pan is a treasure. Yes, you don't wanna scrape the bottom with a metal spoon. You'd be scraping the aluminum off. Oops. All right, oh, look at that. Okay. So now the rest of that water that you cook the beans in goes in. Okay? And if I need a little bit more water, that's where you put your stock, right? And remember, a good cook always has vegetable stock in your fridge. Always. So I'm going to do that. That's going to give me enough rice for me to share. All right. Vámonos. So we go into cover my rice to make sure it cooks a little faster. I mean, that it boils a little faster. In the meantime, yes, I'm gonna wash the rice. Don't want anybody to get upset with me. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my week, my anxiety. I had to talk to myself, seriously. I was like, okay, Maggie, enough is enough. There's nothing you can do about the situation. And that's why I say you have to be in tune with what is going on with you. Your rice is like a 2-to-1 ratio. 2 cups of liquid to 1 cup of rice, okay? And of course, because I'm a long-term cook, I eyeball. I don't measure. And I do not like my rice pasty. I like my rice to be a little bit grainy, okay? And this eyeballing comes with experience, okay? Eventually, you know how much to use. So when somebody says to me, how much is this? How many teaspoons? I don't know. We don't measure, all right? Okay, I hope this thing doesn't fall off in following me. All right, I know, relax. It's kind of spooky. Oh my God. I still have not hung my my pictures that I brought back. I've been staying in the apartment too long. That's what you do, you know, when you're a little bit, I don't want to say under the weather. I had a cold when I first got back, so I spent about a week indoors. And then, the other thing we're gonna do for our dish is we got some plantains. We're gonna use some plantains. I was hoping that it would be more ripe, but we're still gonna make do. Whew. All right, let's turn. We're gonna turn our pan. You always do that when you are cooking in the oven. All right, I'm gonna move the top to the bottom. All right, I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. All right, yes. So yeah, so I've been staying indoors, and all right, let's get our bouquet garni in here. I know. Even though I put some thyme in here and the cilantro, I just would feel some kind of way if I don't do a bouquet. Now in the rice, I don't put rosemary. I forgot to tell you, I did put some rosemary in the meat. Rosemary is really for meats. I don't like to put it in rice. All right, so we're gonna tie some some cilantro or parsley. And then I'm leaving the rest of the cilantro as a garnish over my wings because, again, I was lazy yesterday. I didn't go to the store to look for dill or chopped chives or something like that. Or, like I said, the green onions, I don't like them here. So, all right. Put it in there. Now we gotta taste our liquid, our water. I know when I do this, it gives you a better shot of what I'm doing. I'm not trying to be funny. Not quite there. Something is missing. It probably needs a little bit more salt. Almost. Slap your mama. We got it. Okay. So now we're gonna put our rice in. Yep. Perfect quantity. I know. Like I said, I eyeball, but if you want to do 1 cup of rice or 2 cups of liquid, do that. When you first get started, that's the way to do it. Remember quinoa. And what's the other grain that I cooked the other day? Oh, what was it? Okay, I'm drawing a blank. It will come to me. Some grains don't need as much liquid. So if you're cooking quinoa, just do a little bit less liquid, okay? All right. So we're gonna chop the cabbage. Oh yeah. You know, Old Bay seasoning is not something that I've used a lot at home, so I'm a little bit not sure about it. Okay. So now we are going to chop. Oh, that's a long message. Hello, Maggie. I just wanted to let you know that I subscribed to your channel. Oh, thank you. Down to earth, eloquent approach. George. Hola, George. In July. Wonderful. Make sure you say hello when you're here. Panama relocation tours. Yep, I watched her on Saturday. Even though this lady and I have never met, we've never even communicated. Well, you know, sometimes I'll make a comment on one of her videos and she'll respond, but that's about it. Yeah, but she's like the powerhouse here in Panama. in terms of, because she's been here the longest. Those people doing tours, you don't ever have to worry about me doing a tour. That's too much work. I'm not doing it. Plus, I'm retired. The only thing I might get caught doing is, I keep thinking about it, is a little cafe slash restaurant, just because I love to cook for people. But, I am retired. I'm not supposed to be working, but I know there are ways to get around starting a business, but do I really want to do all that? I don't know. Listen, owning a business is a lot of work. And unless you know what you're getting yourself into, you probably shouldn't do it. That is a lot of sleepless nights. I remember there used to be weeks when payroll was due. And it was like, how are we going to make payroll this week? Because sometimes the government computer would shut down and they would say, oh, we have a glitch. Therefore, there's going to be no payment this week. And you're like, well, people still have to be paid. When you own a business, there are months that go by that you don't get a paycheck yourself. You're paying everybody, but you don't. So that's why I used to do some consulting. I used to tell people, if you want to have a regular paycheck, don't start a business. Because it doesn't work that way. A lot of times, there's a lot of uncertainty. People who are uncomfortable with uncertainty should not start a business. Because, the people like us who do it, we thrive on it. We thrive on the challenge, on saying, oh, I don't see how I'm going to get this done, but I'm going to get it done, right? So it's madness, but that's the way we roll. I mean, I don't know what else to say it, because we're crazy. Yeah. But the other thing too, this morning as I was doing my little exercises, I was thinking, I said that, oh, what happened here? When I was starting my business, I think I owned my first business for 13 years, my home care company. And when I finally realized, all I need to do is just put my face down here and I get my steam. That beauty thing that you get for your face. Yeah. Maybe halfway through it, after I had gone through all the trials and tribulations, and I came to understand the price of success. Hello from Brazil. Hola. Free hot steam. I know, Greta. It just came. I was like, ooh, that felt good. When I came to realize the price of success, I used to hire people to do marketing. And I remember I used to do the screening for your staff. I used a DISC profile, D-I-S-C. It was something I gave to everybody who came to apply for a job, whether you were a nurse, whether you were in sales, whether you were in customer service, because you have to have specific personality traits for the job. The other thing I came to realize, and I told my kids and some people who have young people considering college, is to direct yourself to a career that matches your personality and something that you love, right? If you are an extrovert and you love to talk to people, it would be torture for you to be put in a cubicle, so you can make some money. You're going to be miserable. You're going to hate your job. You're going to hate yourself, and you're going to be less productive. So I had to match people with their job, with their personality. Now I don't remember what the personality was. And me, I was like, when I tested, I was like a jack of all trades. But I hated sales. I hated sales and cold calling. Oh my God. I used to hate that. But when I had somebody who was bubbly and she loved to go out there and she's the life of the party, she never met a stranger, yes, that person is a good salesperson. And my firstborn is like that. So I used to do all that. But when I got to understand the price you had to pay for success, because what was happening in my industry is like, it was crazy. When I hired somebody who had the skills, but maybe didn't have the outward look, she wasn't as successful as the blonde, bubby head. That particular person would go into an office and she would get right in. It was amazing to see. And I started thinking, and I'm like, I don't want to get caught up in that. You know, hiring people because of their looks. It sounds like something that's happening now, right? The DEI. I was like, and then I would hear things about, oh, when that little bimbo got back there, anything can happen so she can get a referral. You know, there were things about people sleeping with who, blah, 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 so they can get a referral and that their numbers would. And I'm like, okay. No. And me, as an owner, if I wanted to get a contract with some entity, there was a lot of shady stuff going around. People lying on the contract, over presenting themselves, talking about certifications and stuff they had that I didn't have. And the whole ambiance was based on lies and misrepresentation. And I'm like, I had to have a talk with myself. And I'm like, Maggie, you know who you are. Are you willing to go that far to increase your numbers, your revenue? So you could say, I'm a $5 million revenue type of agency. For me, trust me, it was not hard. It was like, I can do it. I'm not doing it. If that's the price I have to pay to be successful, I'm out. And I was going through all kinds of things with the agency. And the last thing that happened that really put a nail in the coffin. One day I remember I used to have a 9 a.m. Friday morning appointment with my hairdresser. I had my hair really short, you know, a little wavy, and every week, because I was in suits, I was going to see people to do business. So I had a 9 a.m. every week kind of appointment. And one day I was in the chair or under the dryer. When I think about all the heat that went to my head. Because, you know, you got the relaxer, then you have to they style it, then you have to go under the dryer for 45 minutes. And I'm like, that can't be healthy. I got the call from one of my ladies at the office. They said, Miss Maggie, we have a big problem. Okay, what's the problem? We have water, because I co-own a building with this friend of mine, and somehow we had a sewer line that broke, and we had, you know, in my office this high. So that's what they called me at about 10 o'clock in the morning one day to say that's the thing I was facing. So it was like, okay, hurry up and take everything you can pick up from the ground, put them on the desk, and it was an emergency. When I got to the office, sewer water in my office this high. So we try to get all the files and stuff on top of desks, and you can imagine the cleanup, trying to find who's responsible. Finally, it was a city that was responsible, so I had to get a lawyer, and the city, and then my friend who was on the second and third level of the building allowed me to run my business out of his conference room. So we had to get our computer. I can't even begin to tell you how stressful that was. So for weeks, we ran our business from my friend's conference room. So when I tell you, when you see someone, you don't know where they've been, what they've gone through. And if you listen to Greta last week when we had our interview, you learn that she's been through some stuff too. We've all been through some stuff. But we had to make decisions for our lives. How are we going to run our lives? So I remember looking at the business, looking at the ladies, and by that time, it was my 13th year in business, and with everything that was kind of coming together, I was tired. I was tired of fighting a system that was crooked, that said, you don't belong, you have no business doing what you're doing, who do you think you are, blah, 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 and people giving you contract or not giving you contract because of the way you look, because of the way you speak, where you come from. That is the reality of life. Okay? So I said, one day I don't know if I was meditating or whatever, and I said, okay, I'm done. I said, I'm done. And that's when I started entertaining a sale. And I found a broker, and I said, if you have anybody who wants to, looking to expand here, wants a business, I'm open. And that's how I ended up selling the agency. I was just tired. I was tired. In 13 years, I think, it was a long run. For a single woman to run a business by herself. I was the jack of all trades, master of none. When people don't show up, people call off, I was the one to go. I had my office, I had my suit on, but on my door, I had my lab coat and I had my nursing bag on the side. I remember I bought like a recliner in my office for my daughter. I would go pick her up from school and I would bring her back to the office. She'd do her homework and she'd take a nap. I mean, all the stuff that we as women do. I did it. Okay? Because that is what you do to survive. Now, if I could speak to my younger self, I would make some different decisions. I would. But I think at that time, I didn't have anybody to really talk life into me. And I'm thinking, this is what the Bible says about we older women teaching the younger women. But do we think the younger women want to hear from us? I don't know. Sometimes I wonder. I don't think. Even here in Panama, when I'm talking to some women and I'm saying to like a sister, I say, well, a lot of times they say, oh, I want you to tell me how to buy an apartment or whatever. And I'm like, hold up, sis. I say, most of us will tell you not to buy right then. Just wait, rent for a year or two, get the lay of the land, move around and see which area you want to buy in. A lot of us here in Panama, older women, we've decided we're not going to buy because the market is not favorable to us buying. When you buy, you can't sell. Everybody tells you that. So why would you, a woman of a certain age, saddle yourself with a property? And sometimes something happens to you, you don't know. We can get sick at any moment. It's not if, it's when something happens, right? So now you have a property, and then if you die, most of your kids are not interested in getting your property here. People have properties here that have sat on the market for years. The attorneys will tell you that. But you know what? I'll tell a sister that, and then the attitude shifts. It's almost as if they feel like I want to keep something from them. And I'm like, you asked me as a consultant, I'm telling you, I'm boots on the ground. But then I'm giving you advice and you don't want it. You don't want it. So don't ask me. So I think it's the same thing about some kids. If somebody were to tell me when I was in my 30s, Maggie, you don't need to go back to school to get a master's degree while you are running a business and you have a husband and you have 2 kids, I would have said, you don't want me to be successful. I'm telling you because I bought in the lie. So if I were to tell a young woman right now, it's like, spend your time, raise your family. Yes, you have to work, but you don't have to have your kids in 4 different sports and running around like a chicken with your head cut off with no time to even cook a meal for your family. Some of them won't believe me. They'd be upset with me. So, I don't know. So, I told you the story to tell you that I had to get the good butter, New Zealand butter. And I always top my rice with a little bit of butter. That's Monte au beurre. That's what they call it in culinary terms. And I'm like, oh, I've been doing that forever. And it's got a French name. All right, so I'm gonna move this. So the rice is dry. See? This is when you put it on low and you let it finish cooking. Now, some people would cover it with foil and then put the top. I don't do all that. And even my chef instructors, you could put foil and you could put it back in the oven. You can do that too. All right. So now, one of my, well, I think the wings took a lot longer. All right, here is one. This one's ready. I'm gonna put that up here. And while the second one is cooking, we can go ahead and do our cabbage, right? All right. But yeah, I decided that after that last water issue in my agency, I'm like, I'm done. I was tired. So I found, the broker found me a health system out of Tennessee. They were looking to expand into my area, and I was able to make a sale. So I sold the agency. When I sold the agency, we were still in that conference room. And I remember we moved to another place, and then they came, did the audit and all the contract transfers and stuff, and we sold it. And you know what they did? They promised me they would keep my staff. What was the first thing they did? Fired every single one of them. There are no ethics in business. Just what you see is going on now, that people lie, that's the norm. And I still can't understand how somebody can look in a camera and lie. And we know they're lying, but we still buy into what they're doing. I don't understand. But anyway, that's what happened. They fired every single one of my people. I cried with them. They cried because I really was hoping they would keep him. But anyway, so that was that was a whole part of my life. I had to heal from all that. So after I sold the agency, I took a couple of years. I didn't work. I traveled, went to Europe, and I had some fun. Until I got bored and it was like, okay, what are you gonna do now? That's when I went to culinary school. But you know, I am so grateful that I got the opportunity to do things that some people only dream of doing. But anyway, there's a lot more about my life I can share with you later on. But this week, I wanted to tell you that for the last couple of weeks, I think I came back on the 4th. Yeah. So I've been here like 3 weeks. First week I stayed in. I had a cold. I caught on the plane. Stupid me. Didn't wear my mask. And so now I am working on, you know, it's funny. Before I left, I had a Zoom meeting with my ladies here. And when we were hearing all the riffraffs about Social Security and all that kind of thing, and I started telling the sisters, I'm like, listen, we have to set our mind as to what we want to do, and we need to position ourselves in a way that if anything were to happen, we can sustain ourselves. Cutting expenses, finding different side hustle, reimagine our life as retirees and how we spend money, how we make money. And I'm telling you, like most everything, I was ahead of my time because now everybody's talking about the same thing, the anxiety of the what ifs. Okay? So that's what, you know, Aisha did a video this week about the uncertainty, the anxiety, and not knowing what might happen, what could happen. It's like we have to reimagine our retirement now. Unless you're rolling in the dough. And most of us are not, you know. Some people, maybe their husband passed, they had a life insurance, and a lot of us are just Social Security and maybe a little something else. So now we are having to reevaluate what is retirement going to look like. Can we stay in these fancy apartments? Do we need to consider co-living? And I told you guys, I'm more open to co-living now. But I think I'm just, like most everybody, a little bit afraid as to who are we going to co-live with? How do we screen these people? How do we mesh with them? Because, I mean, having somebody in your space, it's not easy. I mean, as much as I say I'm open to it, but to wake up, you know, it's like, I had a friend, she got pregnant late. She had a son, and the son was like 18 or 19, and she had a boyfriend, and all of a sudden she got pregnant in her 40s, and she said she had a child, and you know, she was doing what I was doing, you know, working, school and everything, and all of a sudden she had this baby. And she said, Maggie, I would come home. Ooh. She said, I would come home and then I would look at this child, and all of a sudden I have to do supper, I have to do homework, I have to do bath. You know, you kind of got out of all that. And she said, I used to look at her and saying, what are you doing in my house? Who's your mama? When's she coming to get you? I'm like, nope, it's all yours. But it's the same thing, you know? I've been divorced 12, 13 years. I'm in my house. Some days I don't get out of my PJs, and I can walk around here all kind of ways if I want to. So now all of a sudden, if you look around and there's somebody in your house, it's not easy. But if we are to survive the next 4 years at least, or reimagine our retirement, these are some words that I love to use called a paradigm shift. You gotta have to shift your thinking and saying, okay, maybe I can make it with this sister, but you're gonna have to find a sister who understands what you're talking about. You both have to agree to give each other your space. Talking about my kitchen. Oh, yeah. So I have some onions in the pan. I am cutting some garlic. That's how you start, right? And you know, cabbage cooks really fast, and it doesn't need a lot of seasoning, okay? Salt, pepper, a little bit of lime juice, definitely, or lemon juice. It's pretty much all I'm gonna need. Maybe I'm gonna put a little bit of adobo, but it's not like I need a lot. So now I'm putting the garlic, fresh garlic. But yeah, co-living is going to require a lot of adjustment. But think about it. If you find the right person, somebody who understands that you both need space, somebody who's not too moody, you know? There are some people who are so moody now. I like to have my own space, but when I emerge, I can still have a conversation. I'm not mad at you for whatever reason. Some people are moody to the point where they're antisocial. No, that's an added stress that I don't need. So I think for me, that's gonna be the hardest thing, finding the right person that you can vibe with. I mean, if you have to. And maybe a lot of us are saying, well, maybe just downsizing to a 1 bedroom is enough and not having to do the co-living. But co-living has other benefits. Companionship. Somebody you can share things with. That's why you have to screen them really well. Somebody you can do things with socially. Go to a play. Go to dinner once in a while. You know, I don't like to eat out a lot. Somebody to share your meals with. You know, if I cook something, when you cook and then you sit and you eat it by yourself, there's no fun in that, I'm telling you. Because I like to cook for people. I like to share. Somebody to check on you. If something happens to you in that room, no one's gonna find you after 5 days. And some people have long, well, you know, you got to agree on basics, you know, cleanliness. Can you imagine if you're somebody who is very clean and then you matched up with the slob? Ooh, there has to be a way for. And then there's a safety issue too, right? Is that person someone you can trust? Who are they going to bring into your space? If they're dating or they like to do one-night stands, oh, see? You got to think really hard about those things. Oh my God. Whoa. I don't know. So I see a lot of pros and cons with co-living. And I'm telling you. But I've read about some women who are doing it and loving it. So I know it can be done. So I'm gonna put some the carrots. And again, I'm trying to make sure everything kind of looks the same. Oh, okay. My wings are done. Yep. All right. So there's a lot of logistical stuff to go with co-living. And because it's so new, I read about this group of ladies out of Texas who are doing it, And I think this lady has I think I want to interview her. I don't know if she's open. She's out of Texas, and she is in a co-living situation with two other women, and they say it's working out fine. But you know, I think she said she was in the relationship maybe 3 months. To me, that's not enough. You need to be in it longer to give me some, you know, good feedback. I think 3 months you're still in the honeymoon phase. So, anyway. All right. I'm trying to make sure the carrots are about the same size as my cabbage. So, and I don't want the carrots to be overcooked because they will cook fast as well. Let me put the habanero or ají. Maybe not. I don't need to do that. Let's season a little bit. Ooh, we gotta make our sauce. Okay. Okay. All right, I'm going to move the cabbage to the back so we can make our sauce. Okay. I'm gonna put a little bit of my stock, not a lot, just a touch. All right. All right. Let's put our chicken, our glaze. Orange glaze. Okay. Take the rest, the other chicken wings. And we're gonna toss them in my beautiful dish here. All right. Gonna do always start with onions and garlic. I need to make this a little finer, the onion. Okay. It's almost like you're making a barbecue sauce, but less ketchup and tomatoes and more of the orange juice. Now we're gonna have to let this onion really sweat so it can release its flavor. In the meantime, chop some garlic. Oops. Ooh, our time is going fast because I ran my mouth too much today. Looks like your dinner will be delicious. Of course. Listen, I'm not trying to, you know, sound conceited or anything, but my food usually tastes pretty good because I take the time to do what I need to, right? I cook with natural ingredients. I use my herbs, and I don't rush the process. I say jokingly, you can't rush perfection, okay? If you want something to taste good, you know, I see people, that's why I would never make it in a commercial kitchen, because the speed at which they did things, like when I was working with Disney, it was too fast for me. I hate it when they put me in the meat prep area. Oh my God. You had to weigh the calamari, you had to weigh the chicken, because, you know, they portion everything, and that's how, when, you know, they call for a dish, and that's how you know, you get things done, a little bit here, a little bit there, and put it in the toss it, boom, you go. And if you're not fast, you have the chef standing over you there, yelling at you. And I'm like, this is not for me. I'm not a slave. Nope, no mas. Yes, oh my God, that was such a pressure. People don't realize that. And that's why they say in the kitchen, in the commercial kitchen, you know, if you ever read Anthony Bourdain's book, there's a lot of stuff going on in the back of that kitchen. In the cooler, you know, chefs doing lines while they're cooking. People having sex in the cooler and all kinds of craziness. And then when they finish their shifts, then they go to some kind of restaurant and eat some junk food. I'm like, that is so dysfunctional. And I will tell you that the food industry is one of the most dysfunctional industries in terms of drug use, promiscuity, drinking. I'm like, you know what? I'm old because I was the oldest person in my class. I said, no, this is not for young people. I'm too old. So a little bit of ketchup, not a lot, because remember, this is an orange glaze. A little bit of Dijon. Dijon. You can't ever go wrong with Dijon mustard, okay? Great Poupon, but of course. So good. All right. Little bit of vegetable stock. this is where sometimes cornstarch comes in handy. Always roll your orange or your lemon to release the juices, and then you're gonna squeeze that orange juice in here. Then we're going to add some herbs and make sure we have our consistency right. I just want the color to be right. I also have some tomato paste. If I need to, I can add a little bit, but I want it to cook. I don't want it to be raw tomato paste. Okay, I think that's good. All right. So now I have a little bit of half of a Scotch bonnet or ahi. I need a little heat in the sauce. Okay? And I'm also going to put a little bit of rosemary in here, because remember, that's meat and thyme. Yes, ladies. So this week, when I started feeling the anxiety starting to come on, I was like, oh no, Maggie, you are not going to let this happen to you. So I was doing the self-talk. The other thing that I found with the sauce, it needs a little bit of soy. For some reason, the soy just kind of balances everything out. Okay? So sometimes I might need to add a little bit of cornstarch in here to thicken it, but we'll see. I'm still building the flavor profile that I want. Need more orange. Okay. Some people put a little bit of sugar in there, but I'm not doing that. And then we have, once we toss the chicken in, I have the cilantro that I've been saving. I think I need a little bit more heat. So more chumbo. There it is. The rice should be done. Okay. Yep. All right. With the chicken wings, when you let it rest, it doesn't stick, okay? So that's why you don't rush to put to take him off the foil. All right. All right, so I am going to add a little bit of cornstarch. We usually add a little bit of water, but I'm going to use a little bit of broth because I don't want to put just water in here. Okay. Veggie broth to the rescue, always. Have your veggie broth ready. My rice should be done. Ooh, it looks so good. All right, let me turn that off. That's good. Oh yeah. And then we're going to put some of the cilantro. Okay. All right, that's ready. The rice is done. So now the only thing we have left is maybe a couple of pieces of, we're gonna do one of the plantain. All right, the rice, let me show you the rice. This is the rice. So I'm taking the, oops, scotch bonnet, the hot pepper, and the bouquet garni, We take that out. All right. Rice is ready. All right. I'm tossing the cabbage. Give it a taste. Yeah. I think it needs a little bit more liquid. Cover it. You just need to soften just a little bit. I haven't cooked plantains like I usually do for a long time. I used to cook plantains. It used to be, you know, deep fried in oil. I don't do that anymore. And everybody peels their plantain different way. All right. So, all right, I'm gonna do it really thin because we just need to as decoration for the dish. All right, you're probably ready to plate. All right, so I think we are ready to plate. You know, it's funny, as I was feeling, you know, anxious and then trying to figure out, you know, what is the next move, what is plan A, what is plan B. And then, you know, if you're into meditating, or some people go and get massages, some people, I walk, I exercise, I sing, I cook, you do whatever you need to do to, you know, to protect yourself, your peace of mind. And I remember yesterday I woke up and I was like, oh, I feel better. Because it works. When you spend time and, you know, you do the work, it's going to pay off. What you don't want to do, as I said, is ignore what you're feeling. You don't want to do that. Pretend that it's not happening. You're not a tree. What's happening is affecting you. That's just the way it is. So we can't pretend that it's not happening. Okay. Well, you know what? I have a small crown of broccoli. I'm going to throw it in there. The broccoli doesn't take a long time to cook, so I'm just going to throw some crowns in my cabbage, and that should give it a little pop of color, because cabbage is kind of boring in terms of color. So we're going to do that. We're going to throw these in there, and they're going to give me a little bit of color. And of course, I don't want my broccoli to lose its color. It has to be nice and green. Pet peeve, green beans that look like they come out of a can, please do not serve it to me. And broccoli that is brown, no bueno. Okay. Alrighty. Well, you know, we have a couple of our sisters who traveled this week, and you know, all the craziness that people were worried about at the border and stuff, none of that happened to them, so we're very grateful and thankful. Yes, you have to acknowledge it. Greta, oh, tell me about color inside. Color? Oh, well, you know, you could put spinach towards the end, and you could put broccoli like I did, and I also add a little bit of carrots, right? So even if you wanted to put, you cut some Roma tomato at the end. You know, color and contrast. I don't know, I just like to have a little bit of contrast with my food. I don't want all my food to look the same. Oh my God. The other day, this person put on the plate, she had biscuit, she had grits, she had that sausage gravy, and she had a couple of pieces of white bread, and it was like, how do you eat that? It's all white and gray. Ew. No puedo. I can't. It's like, you know, they tell you in school, you eat with your eyes. When you have different colors on your plate, it sends a message to your brain, and your salivary gland starts secreting. It makes you want to eat. When the food looks boring, and can you imagine sausage gravy, biscuit, grits? There wasn't even eggs on there. It's all, ugh. No. Don't do that to yourself. And don't serve it to somebody like that. Always think of color and contrast. Green, yellows. That's why peppers are so good, because they're so colorful. If you just add some bell peppers to your food, I mean, come on. Right? So, just always think of contrast. Alright, I think we're good. Let's put this plantain on a piece of on paper towel to drain. You always want to do that so you get rid of excess grease, which you don't want. Now you need a little bit of oil. You heard me say that a lot. Don't get hung up on people who are like, well, I am drinking a drop of oil, no salt, no sugar. Your body needs a mix of all three. People get themselves in all kinds of trouble by trying to be extreme about everything. And especially when you're older, you cannot do the extreme anything. If your sodium is off, you can end up in the hospital. Your potassium is off, you're gonna fall. You're gonna get dizzy and confused. A lot of the stuff that they are pushing online and on the social media are for younger people, not for older women. Your body cannot handle extreme temperatures, extreme dehydration, over drinking, over anything. It's dangerous. Go talk to your doctor, they'll tell you that. Don't do extreme anything. All right, let's plate this food before it gets to be 2 hours. Oh, 1:45? No way. Oh my God, okay. I'm so sorry, you guys. All right, we're gonna put some rice in here. Rice and peas. Well, I better have a couple of sisters come here get this rice. Oh my God. Oh, I'm gonna be in trouble. Whew. Okay. You know, we didn't used to mold our rice like that. We used to just put that stuff. But now that we're trying to be fancy and I guess. And then, of course, being around the Chinese, they do a lot of that, don't they? All right. So, oh, the plantains look good. Yeah. But when I eat it, which is very rare, I bake it now. And I think it tastes good. All right, chicken wings. Where are my tongues? Tongues. Okay. Cabbage and broccoli. Cabbage, broccoli, carrots. All things that are good for you. All right. Now, what I don't have here is what a lot of, well, I guess in my culture, they love to do gravy about everything. I don't. Because I find that all the fat and stuff is in the gravy. So I don't do gravies, okay? You don't need gravy. So we're gonna put our plantains. Oh, that is so pretty. But I say that every Sunday, don't I? I do. Oh my. Oh. Rice and peas, chicken wings in an orange glaze. This is all the veggies, yum yum. And plantains. All right, who's ready for dinner? Oh my goodness. Look at that. Okay, so I need to make sure everything is balanced here because we have balance. We don't have enough here, and then so we're gonna have to put everything in the middle so everything is balanced. Yep, before I take my picture. Okay, here we go. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging with me. 2 wings, okay. You're not sharing. Isn't that beautiful? Now that is a plate of food. You're gonna be full after you eat that, right? Wow. You can't rush perfection. If you want your food to taste good, and then it's your therapy like it is for me, so I don't care if it takes me long because it just does something to my brain. All the good hormones are flowing and I'm a happy camper. Okay? Self-care, you guys. Don't ignore your feelings. Oh, I thought I turned this off. Yeah. Don't ignore your feelings and pretend that everything is okay. No. Even I have days where I have to work on myself, and it's okay because that is life, right? Peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging with me. I know I kept you long today, but I couldn't help it. All right, guys, I will see you next week. I don't know yet what we're gonna do, but you know, I always show up for you guys. All right, God loves you. I love you, you know that. Au revoir, à la prochaine. Love you.